back to the YouTube channel of Pro Enzo Vids, and this is my round 12 NRL tips for 2023. And yeah, this week's Indigenous Round, and it's a very special round. Obviously, it's such a I guess a privilege to represent and I guess celebrate what Indigenous is all about. You know, it's a event that is very big in the game, and for many reasons, obviously, because you know the game is full of Indigenous players. And it's a week to recognise those players and a week to recognise the Indigenous culture in general. So it's a very nice round, and it's a round that always is a important part of the game to, I guess, represent and go through. So yeah, look, I'm expecting it to be a good round of footy. Hopefully, seeing who's lined up against each other, it's going to be some good battles, I reckon, out there. So hopefully, it is going to be a good round ahead, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the whole weekend goes. But before I do get into my tips furthermore, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel already, please consider subscribing, because I'm nearly at 3,000. Well, I've just about hit 3,200 subscribers, so that was my goal to get to there. So do appreciate all the new support and new subscribers just there. But I guess the next goal is to get to 3,500 subscribers, so halfway, I guess, to the whole 4K mark. So 3,500 subscribers, that's the main goal to get by hopefully at the end of this month or next month. So yeah, please be sure to like this video and comment your tips in the comment section down below as well. But without further ado, time to get into my round 12 tips. So the first game of Thursday night, it is the Broncos taking on the Panthers at Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane. And the last time these two sides did play, it was back in round 1 at Penrith. And yeah, I guess we all remember how that one went. It was a big upset by the Broncos defeating the Panthers 13 points to 12. And yeah, no, that was a big result for the Broncos in round 1. So do they go back home and get a win over the Panthers again for a second time this year? Have to wait and see. But Panthers look a lot more, I guess, in form now. So yeah, be a good contest though, I reckon. On to both changes for both sides. So looking at the teams, well, for the Broncos, Adam Reynolds is out, so I know that for sure. My laptop's just frozen on me. But yeah, Adam Reynolds is out, and Josh Madden comes in at halfback for the Broncos, and I think that's the only few changes there as I can see. And for the Panthers, yeah, they're pretty much 1 to 17 as well. I think the only change might be on the bench, but I can't see. But yeah, look, I think from looking at that 1 to 7 back line there, Tyrone Peachey still in the centres. It's pretty much the same side that beat the Roosters last week. But who am I going to tip? I'll tip the Panthers here. I think Penrith can go to Suncorp and get the win over Broncos. But yeah, look, I would not write off the Broncos. And I guess the reason why I am tipping Penrith is because you need your best players in the park against them. And I believe without Adam Reynolds, that makes it a bit harder, I guess. But in saying that, I'm not writing off the Broncos, but I will go with Penrith here 1 to 12, and I will go with Brian Toto first try. Alright, on to the next game now, Dragons and the Roosters, and my laptop's better now, so don't worry about anything glitching out. But yeah, Dragons Roosters at Cogra, so this is at Netstrata Jubilee. And you know, it's funny because it feels like not long ago when these two sides did play, because they played back in Anzac round, and it only feels like a week ago, to be honest. So yeah, it's very quick that they're playing again. But yeah, no, big week for the Dragons. They sacked Anthony Griffin today, and yeah, it was the right call, I suppose. But we'll see how the players go now with him gone. And as the Roosters, their form's been shocking. Like, they got smashed by the Panthers, and just as of recent, they've been really average, the Roosters. And how that gets turned around, well, I don't know. Some changes have to take place, I guess. But we'll see how they go in this one. But looking at both sides, for the Dragons, Zach Lomax has been recalled into the centres, and that means Max Feagai goes to reserves. Ben Hunt returns to halfback, so Jaden Sullivan goes back to the bench, and Mo Zembai drops out. And Jacob Little is the new hooker and starting side. So yeah, I think this Ryan Carr might have some brains, the interim coach. And as for the Roosters, Joey Manu is out with an ankle injury, so Luke Keary moves to 5'8", and Drew Hutchinson comes in at halfback. JWH pectoral strain was also hurt in round 11, but has been able to play. Egan Butcher returns from concussion, and Cecilia Tupanua is named to start, and Angus Crichton is on the bench, and Fletcher Baker drops back to reserves. Interesting. Okay. My tip for this game, I will back in the Roosters here. It's a risk because I think Dragons are going to be up for this one, and I think there's a little feeling in me that Dragons might cause an upset here. But I don't know. I think Roosters will have to have a week where they'll come out and play well, and I think it's this one. And I'm expecting Teddy to have a blinder because Origin's around the corner. Always plays well when that time of the year does come. So I'll back the Roosters here 1-12 only, and I will back that man himself, Teddy, to score a try. Okay, on to the main game of Friday now. It is the Rabbitohs taking on the Eels, and this game's at Allianz Stadium, so Rabbitohs home game, obviously. And how Souths are going so far? Well, they're playing pretty well. They're obviously top of the table now, and they are finding some great form. So, despite that game against the Tigers not being their greatest win, it was a win that they'll take. And, they're on a roll at the moment, South Sydney. And as for Parramatta, well, other end of the spectrum for them, eh? I think Parramatta are in a lot of trouble. I don't know what's wrong with them, to be honest. I think they are playing well in some games, but at the moment, that just does not seem to be working, what they're doing. So we'll see how they go in this one. But looking at both sides, for the Rabbitohs, Tom Burgess has been not named yet after being a late withdrawal from last week due to back spasms. Jake Cartwright won't be available under concussion protocols, and Daniel Fafita is the new man on the bench. For Parramatta, Mitchell Moses returns after missing round 11 under concussion protocol, so that's a big in for Parramatta. Sean Lane hamstring is out, so Bryce Cartwright takes the starting spot on the left edge, and Makahesi Makatoa joins the bench, and Sean Russell comes in on the wing for Hayes Dunster. So that's the both teams there. Who am I tipping? Going to tip the Rabbitohs here. I think that's a no-brainer in my opinion, but I think Parramatta can't be written off, and I'm not doing that, but I think based on recent form, it's clear and obvious to say I think South's the favourites to win this one, and so I'll back them here 13+. And I'm going to back Cody Walker for a try. I reckon he'll score any time. On to the first game on the Saturday. It is the Sharks taking on the Knights at Coffs Harbour. And this is at the home ground. Well, the name of the stadium is called C.X Coffs Harbour International Stadium. So Sharks do take a game traditionally there every year. And it's always been Sharks Titans, but now it's Sharks Knights. So it should be an interesting game this one, because I do think that the way Sharks have been playing as of recent hasn't been, I guess, convincing, but they've been doing the job. But as for Newcastle, they're average until last week, because against the Titans, not great, I thought, despite letting in a few unnecessary tries there. But, that they are, I guess, finding some form, so we'll see how they go. Looking at both sides, though, for the Sharks, Stephen Talakai was a late withdrawal from the Manly game last week. So he remains sidelined, though, with Connor Tracy holding his spot in the centres. Oregon Kaufusi will return after being a late withdrawal from the clash against Manly with an illness. Cameron McInnes played at prop last week in Kaufusi's absence, but suffered a broken hand during the match and couldn't miss up to 6 to 4 weeks, I think. That's a big blow for Sharks. And prop Brandon Hamlin-Ueli has been named in the extended squad and is progressing well in his recovery from a medial ligament strain. So that's the team for the Sharks. And as for the Knights, Adam O'Brien has named the same 17 and got the job done against the Titans. So Jack Everton shifts back from lock to prop, and in a positional swap with Leo Thompson. My tip for this game, I will tip the Sharks here, but I think Sharks are going to win by like 1 to 6 points. I think this will be a very close game, and I think Knights are on the verge of causing an upset in this one. I think they're going to go really close to Newcastle. Just have a feeling. So I'll tip Sharks here by about, let's say, 2 points, I reckon. Like a 20 points to 18 scoreline. And I'm going to go Nico Hines for a try any time. But yeah, I was tempted to go Newcastle here. On to the second last game on Saturday. It is the Tigers taking on the Cowboys at Leichhardt Oval. And this is actually the Tigers' last ever game at Leichhardt. So pretty sad, I think, for the Tigers, because it's such a historical ground full of history that's been made by the Tigers, and it's a great suburban rugby league ground in general. But now the Tigers are not going to be playing there. It's their last time playing at the ground this Saturday. It's going to be a special one, I think, and Tigers would like to put in for this one, I'd say. But as will the Cowboys after how they've been playing recently. But going through both sides, look at the Tigers. No changes for Tim Sheens. No change for the Tigers, and just for the Cowboys, only one change, and that means Jermaine Tunor-Brown, head knock, will miss the game, and his place is taken by Riley Price. So fair enough. Okay, my tip for this game, tough one because I have been actually thinking about where I should go with this one, but you know what? I will tip the Tigers here. I'm doing it. I think Tigers are going to win this one. I know that Cowboys have probably looked a lot more, I guess, confident the last couple of weeks because of how they've been playing against clubs, but I wouldn't take much out of the Dragons win, and the Roosters are in bad form. But, that Roosters win was great, but the one against the Dragons was, pretty much expected. And I think Tigers are showing a bit more heart now, and I think they'll want to turn up at Leichhardt. But in saying that, Tigers have come to Leichhardt before and they've failed to get off big events, so I wouldn't be shocked if they lost this one. But I don't know. Last time at Leichhardt, I think they'll put in. So I'll go Tigers here by, 1-12, and Dream Buller for a try. On to the last game of Super Saturday. It is the Dolphins taking on the Storm, and this one's at Suncorp Stadium. So battle of, the Bromwich boys taking on their former club, and same with Felice Kafusi against the Storm again. I wouldn't have thought that. I would have never thought that those three players were playing against their former club, being the Storm. So, interesting sight to see, actually. But, I guess we'll see how that all goes, that battle. The Bromwich boys and Kafusi against the Storm. So, that's interesting. But, yeah, look, Dolphins, as of recent, have been pretty good. They've been playing good footy, and they've obviously shown a lot of heart in the way they play. The Sharks win, and from last week's, win as well. They're in good form, and I think they'll continue that, going forward. But whether they win this Sunday remains to be seen. And as for Dolphins had a bye. Sorry, my bad. They had a bye last week, but the one against the Sharks where they won that game was a great sort of way to continue your confidence. But for Melbourne, Melbourne were just as, good because they had a tough loss against the Rabbitohs in Magic Round, but came back well and beat the Broncos, but wasn't, the most convincing win, and what wouldn't be the proudest win, I'd say. But going through both sides, for the Dolphins, Jesse Bromwich hamstring and centre Branko Lee hamstring return, so that means Valence Tivara drops out and Pawasa Famasili drops out, and Ray Stone returns from a head knock on the bench, and Mark Nichols has been named as 18th man. For the Storm, Nelson Solomon has been named in the starting side despite copying a head knock, or a knock to the ribs, I should say, last week, until Kamika goes back to the bench. My tip for this game, it's a tough one. I will tip the Storm here. I think Melbourne will get up at Suncorp, but I wouldn't be shocked if the Dolphins won. But I don't know. I think Storm, for me, it will look a lot more stronger on the day, in my opinion. So I think Storm will win here 1-12 as well. And I'll go, let's go Tessie New for a try for a change. Now on to Sunday footy, and the first game of two is the Bulldogs taking on the Titans at Accor Stadium at Homebush. And look, this is another game that I don't know, tough one to tip. I think this is a game that could go down to the wire. But again, I don't know, because both sides are very similar in terms of form, in my opinion. But you'd probably say the Titans, as of recent, have been showing a bit more, I'd say. But I don't know, Dogs can be good when they're on, but tough game either way. But looking at both sides, for the Bulldogs, Josh Adokar is returning from an ankle injury, so that's a big in. So that means Blake Wilson goes back to 18th man, and Carl Oluwapu starts at 5'8". So I think that's a good move there to start Oluwapu. And Josh Reynolds goes back to the bench, and Sam Hughes has been added to the bench, and Franklin Pele drops out. And for the Titans, Aaron Clark is back after missing round 11 with a finger injury, so Isaac Fasul-Malali goes back to reserves, and the only change to the side being by the Knights. I don't know. This is a really tough one. Who am I going to tip? I will probably tip the Titans, I think. I think Titans are a lot more convincing. I wouldn't be shocked if the Bulldogs did win, though, because I do think the Bulldogs, are showing, I don't know. They're a weird side because they've been okay in patches, but again, very disappointing, but I think Titans have a bit more of a upper hand. So I'll tip Gold Coast here by, let's say, 1-12. And because it's Indigenous round, I think he's going to turn up in a big way. I think Josh Adokar will score a try. Right, on to the last game. It wraps up round 12 of the NRL. It is the Raiders and my team Manly at GIO Stadium in Canberra. And yeah, I don't know. This is another really tough one to tip because I do think Raiders are in better form, and that's clear as day that they are in better form compared to where we are. But yeah, I don't know, because Manly do often turn up at Canberra. They often have a good record down at GIO. So hopefully that still sticks ahead for this one. But guess we'll have to wait and see what happens. But yeah, Manly needs to bounce back soon. Otherwise, it's not going to be good for the rest of the year. But looking at the Raiders team, the loss of Zach Wolford due to concussion is offset by the return of Danny Levi from a broken jaw. Tom Starling will start the game at hooker, and Levi comes off the bench. And for Manly, Jake Trbojevic and Josh Schuster are both back, which is great. So Jake's been named at lock, and Josh Schuster obviously at 5'8". Josh Aloiai, Kelma Talangi are both out with shoulder injuries and a facial fracture for Kelma. So that means Ben Trbojevic starts in the back row, and Samuel Afinu and Ben Condon makes a club debut for Manly. Are the new faces on the bench, and Aaron Woods is also out after fracturing his thumb. So yeah, that's the teams right there for both Raiders and Manly. Who am I going to tip? I will back Manly. I'll back my boys. I think Manly can get this one. I really do think they can. I know we haven't been in great form as of recent, and Canberra have been a lot better, like I said, but I don't know. I think we can do this. I think we can win this one. I really do think we can, and I'll believe in us to win this one. I know it's not the easiest game in Canberra, especially, but I think if there's a week to turn up and get our season back on track, and it's this game clearly. So I'll tip Manly 1-12, and I'll also back in. I'll back in Ben Trbojevic for a try. I just had this weird feeling that Ben Trbojevic might score in the back row, so I'll back him for a try. So that's my tip on that one. So I'll go for my tips one more time. So the first game on Thursday, Broncos and the Panthers, got the Panthers 1-12. Dragons and the Roosters, got the Roosters 1-12. Rabbitohs and Eels, got South 13+. Sharks and Knights at Coffs Harbour, got the Sharks 1-12. Tigers and Cowboys at Leichhardt, got the Tigers. And Storm and Dolphins at Suncorp, got the Storm 1-12. Bulldogs and Titans at a core, got the Titans 1-12. And Raiders and Manly, got Manly 1-12. But everyone, that wraps up my round 12 tips of the NRL for 2023. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to like the video, like I said. Subscribe to the YouTube channel on the road to 3,500 subscribers, and comment your tips in the comment section down below. But again, thank you for watching. See you in the next one.